Welcome to the Family Brand Show. We're Chris and Melissa Smith of FamilyBrand.com, husband and wife, parents of 5, and we want to help you take back your family and to live life on your terms.
And we know being a family can feel really overwhelming. Parents tell us they feel like they're being pulled in a million different directions. It's so challenging to navigate the uncertainty and all the chaos that's happening in the world right now.
And that's why we want to bring you every single week actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become a better parent, to become a better spouse, and to build a stronger family. And look, there's never been a better time and a more important time than right now to take back your family. You can define what your family stands for, or the world is going to do it for you. And the world needs strong families now more than ever. And it starts right here with your family.
One of the things that I often say to our clients at the Possibility Company when we're coaching or consulting them, if they're the founder or the CEO, I say, in addition to whatever title you have, right? CEO, president, founder, CMO, like whatever leadership title you have, I think every leader, including parents, should have another title called CRO, Chief Reminding Officer. And I've just realized that part of leadership is just reminding people. And I think sometimes there's this temptation, at least I experience with my family or with my team or my company, that I'm under this pressure. Like I've got to come up with something new. I've got to come up with something creative, like a new focus, a new initiative. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes that can be really useful. And I think far more powerful than new and unique is consistent. Can I just consistently remind myself and my children of like who we are and what we stand for? Because it would be amazing in life, I think, for all of us to be able to teach something once and people just embrace it. I wish I could hear stuff sometimes once and just embrace it forever. And so Melissa and I were just talking, I think on a walk last night, that some of the most profound experiences that we've had with our kids or with each other in our lives, it's just continuing to try to learn things that we've heard so many times before. I can't even remember there was a specific scenario or situation maybe that we were talking about that had to come up.
Well, and I was telling you, I was like, yeah, but if people remembered everything, then you would be out of a job. And then we were thinking about how many people would actually be out of jobs if everyone remembered the first time. Like you wouldn't need a financial advisor. You wouldn't need like a trainer. Like if you remembered the first time, like, okay, these are the macros you need to eat. This is how to do it. This is the way you need to lift weights. Like there would be no need for trainers or, nutritionist, dietitian. There would be no need for like a lot of things because so much of life is remembering or being reminded of things that you already know. And if it applies to family, I'm thinking you're kind of taking it in the direction of like reminding people who they are and kind of that is the reminders that are needed. But I'm even thinking about just like the daily rhythms of family.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes it does feel like, okay, we need a new initiative. And sometimes the new initiatives are useful, if people aren't getting along or whatever it may be. But a lot of times what's needed is just the consistency, like you're saying. Like we don't need a whole new morning routine. Let's just keep doing the morning, like consistently doing the morning routine that we set up in the first place. Or, the bedtime routine or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's amazing how many things work with consistency. Like when consistency is applied, and it's amazing how many things in our life don't work or stop working when we stop being consistent. And that sounds so obvious. And I think the reason that sometimes when you're in a position of leadership, again, whether in your business or your family, I think you do experience like it's real, like leadership fatigue. It's like, I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of reminding people about this. And I just think that it's actually one of the things that we sign up for when we're leaders is to continually remind people of the truth, to continually remind people, like in a family, how powerful is it to continually remind your family of like, oh yeah, this is who we are. This is what we stand for. This is what it means to be a Smith. Like if it's true and it's profound and it's powerful, it's almost like you can't remind people enough. And I don't think that a lot of times in our lives I don't think we need a lot of new, crazy, innovative breakthrough ideas. I think if we could just consistently apply the truths of what we already know, our lives would work so much better. We'd be so much happier. Our relationships would be so much stronger. And it doesn't mean, obviously I don't want anyone to hear anything in this. I think Melissa shares the same feeling of, we're not saying at all to not keep growing and looking and innovating and being open to new ideas. But it seems like in most situations in life, consistency is the issue. Like in any domain of life, and I love this quote by a guy named David Bednar. He said something to the effect of, it's never really about knowing what to do. It's simply the consistency of doing what you already know. And if you think about any situation in life, for yourself or for your children, I'd be willing to bet that in most situations we know what to do. It's just how consistently can we do what we already know? Like for example, the gym. I don't know many people that if you asked them, from a pretty young age, if you asked, hey, do you have some idea of how someone might be able to get in a little bit better shape? Most people would be like, yeah. You be mindful of what you eat. You eat healthy foods. You move your body. You get to the gym 3 to 5 times. It's like we know it. It's just the consistency of it. But I think the same thing is true around identity. And this idea of family. I don't think I need to always have some really new, creative breakthrough idea to share with my kids. But I think if I can consistently help my kids remember who they are and who God created them to be and what we stand for as a family, and just that reminding, and I think I looked up at one time, the word remember or a variation of it shows up in the scriptures like over 500 times. So I actually think that that's also part of God's strategy is, hey, I don't need to consistently teach you anything new, but if I could just help remind you of what you already know and live that, but that also, for me, a little bit of that's daunting of okay, I've got to be consistent, but also in some ways takes the pressure off of, I just have to remind myself and my family of what it is we already know.
We were talking last night. This is what it was. As we mentioned before, our oldest son, Tate, he is gone for the summer. He's selling pest control. And it's been so cute to watch him. I don't think he would probably appreciate the word cute, but me as a mother, I'm like, it's so cute how he calls Chris all the time if he needs a little pep talk or if he needs to, it's mostly for pep talks, honestly. And just yesterday, he had his best sell day ever. And the day before, he had one of his worst days ever. Not even from a sales perspective, but just he in his own words, he was like, I was just over it. And so he called the whole thing, being there, and he had twisted his ankle and all this stuff. And so he had called Chris. They had talked. He was implementing some new things yesterday, trying some new things. And we were just saying, one of the things he was implementing was not being attached to the outcome, which that could be a whole nother episode in and of itself. But I had observed to Chris, he just decided to implement this yesterday. But I was like, how long have you been talking to him? Even just this summer about, you don't, when you're on a door, don't be too attached, don't be too eager that they get the sale, and don't be attached to the outcome. That's kind of what the conversation was looking like. But he finally decided to implement it yesterday, and he had his best sales day ever. And so that's kind of what we were talking about is, what if your kids, what if they just remembered? It's the first time you told them, and it wasn't this hard, weeks and months and struck.
But I also think that sometimes we kind of resent our kids or resent our spouse because it's how many times have I told you this? And I actually think that maybe that's not useful either. I'm realizing, and I've done that plenty of times. And sure, there's something to be addressed if someone's just not doing something they keep saying they're going to do. But I also think that there's we can grant each other a lot of grace because it's how many times does God have to remind us? How many times does God have to tell us? So it's I think we can grant our children, our spouse, or significant other a lot of grace. And it's not I'm here to correct you or teach you, but it's just more of this reminding. And I've loved these conversations with Tate. And Tate did call me then on Monday when he had again, one of his most discouraging sales days ever, one of his worst sales days ever. And I didn't tell him anything new. I just reminded him of things I've already been telling him all summer, because it was to a certain degree, it's there's nothing else I can share with you. I've shared with you everything I've got, but there's still power in that reminding. And so I think if anything, as leaders, we just learn to embrace that. We just embrace it as like as a useful thing, as a good thing, and just be like, yeah, that's part of my leadership. It's part of being a parent. It's part of being a significant other or spouse. It's part of being a founder and owner. It's like, yeah, part of leadership is to remind people of the truth of what they already know, the truth of who they are, what they stand for. And it's like, I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. I'm going to be a reminder.
So go out and become your chief reminding officer in your family. And just remember, like, I think sometimes the thing that gets in the way of us being okay with that, is a feeling like, oh, it shouldn't have to be that way. I shouldn't have to keep reminding, but maybe it's okay. So go be the best chief reminding officer you can. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Family Brand Podcast. But wait, before you go, I want to give you something. It's something I stole out of our Family Brand Academy because I thought it would make a big difference for you, and I want you to have it for free, no strings attached. It's how we run our family meetings, and not just our family meetings that we have every week, but also our family check-ins, which is this system we've developed for how to connect with our kids and each other, Chris and I, every single week. And we've had some great outcomes with this. Not only have we, but a lot of families that have implemented this have as well. Actually, life-changing outcomes, if I'm being honest. You'll definitely want to get this. Go get your copy at familybrand.com/meeting, and we will catch you next time.